Hello and welcome to the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. Nice to see you here. When's it going to start, Fatima? Right now. It is on. Nice to see you all. Thanks for joining us. I'm super excited for today and that you're joining me. I absolutely love that you're joining me. Absolutely love that you're here. Let me know where you're watching from. And today's a very special day. Usually we have a theme, right? We've been doing a flower theme. We're going to kind of continue it today. But chat, what day is today unless you're watching the creative replay? Also, we're going to use our imaginations. Creative replay for watching this the second week of May. Just imagine that it's May 5th. That's right, Laura. It is Cinco de Mayo. It is the 5th of May. And for you, we're going to get a little bit into the history of that. And we're going to be doing a challenge that is inspired by Cinco de Mayo. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history, and we're even going to highlight some of my favorite artists that are in Mexico. So first of all, we need to get you involved. If you want to join us for the Daily Creative Challenges, you can do so right here at behance.net/challenge/illustrator. It's the place to be where you can get all the information for each of the challenges. If you scroll down, we have our source file here for stylized illustration. A little secret there. I have some color palettes in there for you in its size so that you can be working on it and kind of just follow along with us today. So with that, one more thing. You can get involved in our Discord right here, bit.ly/AI Discord, and check that out. Now, let's get to the important stuff. It is Cinco de Mayo, and if you don't know, Cinco de Mayo celebrates a victory of a battle in 1862. So it was a battle that happened just outside of Puebla, and it was where the French were trying to invade, and the Mexican liberals fought the French, and they won. It was a victory. It was mostly celebrated now, the courage of those people, as well as their general and leader, Ignacio Zaragoza, was the leader. And so it is a celebration of that day, of that victory, and yes, Pueblo. And little tidbit fun fact here, it was the first live streamed battle between Puebla and Mexico. It was telegraph. There was telegraphs happening back and forth, and it was the first time that had happened, so it is technically first live stream battle, right? As we would look at it today. So we're going to hop in, and I want to show some of my favorite artists that are working down in Mexico. Maybe you have seen, if you tune into one of my streams before, a couple of these artists, but make sure you go and drop a follow. I think that our friend Wade is going to be giving, and yes, it is the largest defeat of Napoleon's forces. Thank you, Uriel. Wade actually has a link for you in chat. Wade is our moderator. Hi, Wade. He has a link for you to learn some more about the history of Cinco de Mayo from our friends over at the New York Library. So that link will be coming. Thank you, Wade. But I want to highlight a couple artists that you can go follow here on Behance. The first is Daniela Martin del Campo. This is just incredible illustration work. Some of my favorite stuff. Just look at how gorgeous. It's so good. So absolutely love this style. Go give a follow, located down in Mexico City, Mexico. And then one of my favorites, I've been a fan forever. Our friend Chopper Nars is amazing. Let's take a look at this Godzilla versus Kong piece. It's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. And then we have some pieces down here that are just, I would put this in my room every single day. The style's awesome, and we're going to show a little bit of how to achieve this style. This was more, I think, hand done with the amount of texture that's on here, but we're going to kind of explore a little bit of this kind of style today, especially with the lettering that you see here. So those are some awesome artists to follow. Let them know that we appreciate their work here on Behance, and give them a follow. Click through their websites, follow Instagram, what I like to call a triple click, and that's when I click on your Behance, your Instagram, and your Twitter. That's a triple click. These people are all triple click follows. So check those out. If you'd like to follow along, you can do so again right here every day, 11:30 p.m. Pacific Standard, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. My goodness, and you can grab all of the different assets and resources there on Behance. So let's go ahead and hop in. And yes, something you're not good at, texture. We'll come back to that in another challenge. But what we're going to do today is we're going to hop right in, and no, we don't have a theme for today. We're not going to show the bumper because we are simply celebrating Cinco de Mayo. But here's what we're doing today. So if we talked a little bit about Puebla, right? Well, something interesting about Puebla is also the birthplace of something called papel picado. And papel picado is a way of kind of creating art, right? So they're very often decorative banners. They often tell stories, have symbolism on them. And technically they're used more to celebrate things like Dia de los Muertos. But because we are celebrating Puebla and the victory at Puebla, I figured, why not? Let's do some papel picado because it is the birthplace of this gorgeous art style. And it'll be fun to do in Illustrator. So let's go ahead and hop over into Illustrator. And here's our challenge. Yes, we will create a stylized illustration inspired by Cinco de Mayo using the pen tool. Now, here's going to be what's really fun is I know the pen tool is kind of scary to a lot of people. Don't be scared. It'll be fun. What we're going to do is we're going to create some papel picado in a bunch of different ways. We're going to focus on ways to do the illustration and use the pen tool. Okay, so what we're going to do is, vector portrait, Chandru. Yes, today I'm going to be creating more of a floral design and maybe some typography. But if you want to do your challenge and do a portrait, definitely do a portrait using the things that we're going to talk about today. So the pen tool, I like to think of the pen tool as a string or as a guide. And what we do with the pen tool, I just made a shape in the background here so that we have a shape for color. And how I like to think about the pen tool is I like to think about the pen tool as a string or as a guide, right? And it's telling us information. So we're going to use the pen tool by just clicking right up here. And we are going to make some accents kind of in the corners. Now, as we build with this style, the papel picado is technically made with a chisel. There are other paper cutting that uses scissors, but it's technically made with a chisel. It can be very precise, but I like to have a little bit of character in there. And so we're gonna hop in and give it some very, very simple use of the pen tool. But let's take a look. What I like to think about for the pen tool is it's basically a guide. Right? And it's a lot of math, actually. And let's do a little rounded kind of edge corner here. And I'll show you a couple ways to do this. Is we're going to click, and when you click and hold, when you just click, it's going to make a point, and it's saying, hey, Illustrator, start here, and then go to wherever I'm about to click next, right? So if we click here, it's going to continue to make this shape, and then we close it by clicking on the point at the beginning. But if we want to, we can instead tell Illustrator to head in a direction. So we're going to click here and we're going to hold Shift and pull out to the right. This is just saying, hey, Illustrator, we are going to start here and then we are going to head in the right direction, right? So we're heading almost with force or momentum to the right. From there, we're going to move upwards, right? And we're going to be moving from this spot right here into the next spot that I stop with the momentum of going forward. So what we can do is we can just click right here and it's going to make a point for us. So now we can see it's made that curve by saying we're starting here, heading in the right direction, but also going up to where this next point is. So from there, we are going to simply hold Shift to make sure that it stays in line. And we're going to use those smart guides to click and just make a very simple shape. Now, we can go back and fix this and change it by using our direct selection tool up here and clicking here, and you can see this node that's right here. This is a handle, and we're going to click and drag this handle out, and you can see that it's moving that curve. And what it's doing here is it's saying it needs more momentum. So I like to think of this as a rocket ship, right? We're starting on the ground, we are going to space, but we need to be moving forward, right? We need to be having forward momentum. The same thing as if we're going on a downward curve. We're going to start here, head to the right, but then we're going all the way down with momentum and gravity that's also pulling us down so we can make those curves. So we've made this awesome little shape here in the corner, and that's one way to do it with the pen tool. Now, I don't really want to do the clean, concise way. And so what we can do is we're going to keep it really loosey-goosey and super fun today with this pen tool. And we're going to click and really just make these a little bit more jagged, right? We're going to have some fun kind of making this shape. and then pull it over here. So we're going to use the eyedropper tool to just make that white and give it a little bit of that odd kind of cut paper edge. Now, another way that you can do this, again, that's all we're doing today is exploring different ways to do this, is to take our very nice, perfect vector of a shape in the corner here and go to Effect, Distort and Transform, and Roughen. And what Roughen's going to do is it's going to give you all of these little jagged edges. If you take the size down, let's take that to 0.5, it will give you just a little bit of a rough edge. So that could be really fun to do almost a torn paper look. Or we can take the size up and go to maybe 1 or even 2, maybe even go up to 5%. Why not? And from there, we're going to take the amount of segments down. And you'll see that that's going to give us these weird kind of polygons. We can't smooth them out. It will make it more bubbly, or we can keep them at the corner. And we'll hit OK. And from there, our perfect little circle has become something that's a little wonky, has a little bit of character, and a whole lot of fun. So as we continue here, we're going to continue to use the pen tool, but I want to show you a couple different ways. I'm going to actually keep up with the kind of random pieces way. We'll leave that off to the side. And what we can do is we're going to make kind of a sun kind of flare around here. So we're going to click, and I'm just going to add some nice little flares happening right here. So there we go. We are going to make that white. I don't know why I just don't make that the default. And we're going to use R to rotate that a little bit. Now, from here, we can use either a radial repeat that we did yesterday, or we can do the rotate and then transform again. So we're going to click here, and we want it to rotate around this shape. So I'm going to hit R or grab our rotate tool, and then click, hold Alt or Option, and click. And watch what happens is it's going to start to move around this point that we have designated. And yes, adding some black on the edges, we are going to do some punch outs and then do some shadows to make it look like it is see-through, which would be really fun. So from there, we can continue to rotate this based on that point in our design. So that looks pretty good. And I'm going to hit copy. So I'm doing it at, let's do 40 degrees. I'm going to hit copy. And from there, we can transform again by going to Object, Transform Again, or hitting Command D. And that is just going to change that so it goes all the way around. And from there, we can just grab the Rotate tool and kind of rotate those so they are pointing toward the center, right? Looking great. So we are going to add in a couple more pieces. We've got about 13 minutes here. And what I want to do is I want to make a 5. And again, using the pen tool, we could make a perfect 5. So I'm going to kind of try to do this from memory and see, is we're going to make a nice little 5 here. And again, you're just seeing that I'm starting here, heading here, going over here, almost like a maze. But at this point, I want it to have a curve. So I'm going to pull a point right here and say, hey, I actually want this to head in a right direction, right? On our way down. So we're going to line it up right here and kind of do something like that. So we're going to continue this going, do another one that's coming down a little bit, and from there, pull out that corner as well. And you can start to see the 5. There we go. It is starting to form. And from here again, we are pulling out to the right because we are going to have that nice little curve that kind of goes around the edge. And again, this is supposed to look a little bit wonky, and we're actually probably going to make it look more wonky as we go so we get that paper cut texture. But just using the direct selection tool, we're able to kind of pull that and move that around. And yes, it is much easier to use lines so you can see what you're doing a little bit better. So we're going to pull those up here, and the smart guides really help you to kind of pull things together. And from here, check this out. Instead of using the pen tool, we can actually grab a curve by using the direct selection tool and just clicking on this curve here. And what that's going to do is it's going to grab this curve and we can pull it in so it's a little more rounded, and that looks good to me. So because we made this so perfect, we can go to Effect, and we're going to apply that roughen that we have. It's going to give it a little bit of that effect, but it feels like too much. So I'm going to come over here to the Effects panel and just change the roughen a little bit. It feels like 5 might be a bit too much, so we're going to take that down to 1, and we'll hit OK. Now we've got that nice kind of cut paper texture for the Cinco and Cinco de Mayo. Nice little 5 that we can put up maybe here. And what we're going to do is we're going to continue on and do something on maybe a little pattern. So again, using the pen tool, we could make little dots, but we also can use the ellipse tool right here to pull out some nice little accents. So maybe we want a little zone of 3, and I'm holding Shift and Alt or Option to pull that through, and then Command D to move that one more time, and I'm just going to offset those as well. Now it is a very traditional means of making these paper. They'll use chisels. It'll be very precise, but we're making it home. We're working in Illustrator to, excuse me, using scissors and kind of doing it by hand. So I am going to apply that roughen again, and then come here and just change a little bit what it looks like. So I think we maybe add a couple more segments. And there we go. Got a little more character there, and let's do a couple copies of that as well. All right, so that looks good. And for your challenges, hopefully you can kind of either do a portrait, do some kind of image. We're going to do a little flower real quick and see how that turns out. So just using the pen tool, again, it's a path. So we're just saying, hey, pen tool, we want you to come over this way and continue to make some nice little leaves for our flower. Now, you'll see that I'm doing something a little bit different, and that is I'm going to turn on Command Y, is I'm making sure that this aligns to the center here, because yesterday we played around with radial repeat. This time we're going to play around with a mirror, right? We're going to mirror it, so that way we only have to make half. Now, when working with a papel picado kind of zone, you want to make sure that there's always a river. So if you think about cutting a stencil, cutting paper, pieces will just fall out. And so you want to make sure that there's a river always connecting to the outside. So if we did a flower here, we would have to make that flower so that it continues and kind of pulls out this way. So we need that little space in between. And you would, in theory, just continue this down, make sure that we're only hitting half, and have this nice little piece, maybe goes over here, right? And has some fun little pieces, but we always, always, always want to make sure that it is having a river so that when we cut the paper, it won't completely get ruined. So we're probably going to run out of a little bit of time here, but I want to continue and show you the way that we can make this actually look great. So we've made this cool little, yes, Command Y. We made this cool little piece here, and maybe there needs to be another cut out here. Let's do one there. Why not? Looks good to me. And from here, what we're going to do is we are going to use our tool of doing a mirror. So it is going to probably mess up the 5, so I'm actually not going to do that. So I'm just going to select all these pieces, and we'll put the 5 in there manually. So I'm selecting all of the white pieces that we've used, and we have a lot of these different parts. So we're going to go to Object, we're going to go to Pattern, we're going to go to Repeat, and we're going to go to Mirror. And watch what happens, is it's going to mirror this design perfectly on the other side. All of the elements that we built on one side are now mirrored over on the other side. Now, I can grab this 5 and bring it over here because we do want to have the 5-5 for May 5th, 5-5. But maybe we want to add in some other elements. You can do that very easily by just double-clicking in here, and we can zoom in, and maybe we want to add a nice little star here. And as we click and add this star, you can see that it's actually going to pull that star to both sides. Boop, boop. So now that star is sitting on both sides. It's mirroring perfectly as we go through and have that on both sides, right? So as the fire kind of looks like the flower does kind of look like a mask. And something that I'm noticing is some of these pieces that are touching, I don't want touching. And so I can simply double click. I can come in here, grab this piece, and then move it over so that it's not touching the center, so we get a little bit more definition in that flower shape. That looks better to me. So from here, hopefully with your design, you will fill up the entire, it almost looks like a butterfly to me. But hopefully with your design, you will either do a portrait, you'll fill out the entirety of this canvas and make something gorgeous. From there, here's how we're going to finish this off, is we are going to select all of these pieces and we are going to not select the background. From there, we're going to go to Object and Expand Appearance, and then go back to Object and Expand. What that will do is firstly, Expand Appearance will expand some of the effects into paths. And then after that, we need to go to Expand, and that will expand the objects and the fills, and that's gonna finish out our mirror that we have. Let's see if we can get that. Expand. I believe in you. Oh, there we go. It does have both sides. So we have all of our different paths. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab the Pathfinder tool and just click on, oh, that Pathfinder tool. Why are we not expanding here? Hold on. Wait for it. Let's try this. Object, expand. Oh, I'd just like to expand this, please. All right, so let's do this. We're not going to use the mirror for now. For some reason, something's a little bit wonky, probably my fault. What we're going to do is we are going to delete this. There we go. And we are just going to manually put this in here. And another way that you can do this is just right-click, go to Transform, and hit Reflect. And from there, you click Vertical, and it's going to do the same effect as the mirror. We're going to copy, and then we'll just align these so that they are touching there in the middle. We'll group all those pieces. Oops, just one second. Group, right-click, Transform, Reflect, and hit Copy. And that will pull it over. Again, there's a million ways to do things in Illustrator, and none of them are wrong. So from here, what we're going to do is we are actually going to use the Pathfinder tool to make this all one shape. So we're going to hit Join right here on the Pathfinder tool, and now it is all one shape. We missed the 5, so we need to come in and do those. And here's what we're going to do. This is going to be crazy, and this is going to be a compound path. With a compound path, we are going to shape this, grab this entire shape, go to Object, Compound Path, and Make. And from there, we're going to select the background and use the Pathfinder to punch it out. Now we need to go to Effect, Stylize, Outer Glow. And that's going to give us that nice outer glow that we want with that shadow. Let's take the opacity way up. Let me put this at a 0.5. Oops. Let's do a 0.05. How about that? There we go. Just a little bit of a shadow on that edge. Maybe 0.8 would be a little bit better. There we go. And now we have that nice little shadow on the edge. Now, this is your Creative Replay challenge. If you can, start with this. I know it's the end of this challenge, but come back on the Creative Replay, whatever you've built, and start with this. Take one circle, punch it out of the background, and make a compound path. Because what you can do is you can double click on this compound path, and we'll actually shrink this down a little bit so you can see how it's glowing. We can double click on this shape, which is a compound path, right? We've punched the top out of the bottom, use those scissors to cut out those shapes. And we're gonna double click. And as we zoom in here, we're going to grab the pen tool one more time and check this out. If we want to, we can continue and we just click in here to make another shape. And as we make this shape, you'll see that Illustrator is actually cutting this shape out of what's happening below. It was. Let's try that one more time. With this selected. Why? Why? Okay. With the compound path, you can, and it definitely was my fault. You can make another shape here. And in theory, we can just punch it out and it will punch that out of the shape. I don't know why it's not working. I swear I did this right before the challenge. And it should be, in theory, taking this shape out of, there we go. Let's do that. It was something with the pen tool that I was using. So you can use the pen tool. I promise it will work. And yes, double clicking helps. And I think that I did double click wrong. But if you grab a shape, you can actually make more shapes and it will take them out of the shape. So you double click into your compound path and it will take the shapes that you're building out. So that is your challenge, is to start out with one square, put your shadow on it, and punch out one circle to make a compound path. From there, go in and edit your entire design using just this compound path. It's going to be wild. It's going to be tough. But you're going to want to try that. And it should work with the pen tool. I don't know why it's not working. It should do it anytime you create a shape inside of a compound path. It should take that out. So make your gorgeous work. And remember, go follow our highlights and our friends that we followed. Wade, if we can drop those links one more time. That's right. Daniela, Martine Del Campo, and our friend Chopper Nars. Go give them a follow. Check it out. And yes, it's not working because I'm on air. That's the truth. I did practice before, I promise. So go follow those. Check out the link that Wade is about to drop for Cinco de Mayo. And happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone. Go read a little bit about the amazing holiday and celebrate the bravery of the people that fought, as well as our friend Ignacio Zaragoza. We'll see you tomorrow for another daily creative challenge. And yes, Gremlins in the Machine, 100%. So we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. Bye.